After every spike in anti-Semitism or attack against Jews, the same ritual repeats itself. A representative from a major Jewish organization steps forward and delivers a careful, rehearsed statement. It usually sounds fake. It avoids the real causes of anti-Semitism, offers no solutions that actually work, and feels strangely awkward, as if the speaker is fulfilling an unpleasant obligation rather than defending something vital. That impression isn't accidental. It's accurate. Most pro-Israel American organizations do not truly care about anti-Semitism, nor do they understand it. They are pro-Israel not because they love menorahs or Hanukkah candles, but because they are protecting investments. And there is nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is pretending otherwise. Israel is a tiny country with extraordinary human capital and very limited natural resources. It produces an outsized number of startups and technological breakthroughs, but it cannot scale them domestically. Israeli companies must offshore primarily to the United States. Today, thousands of companies and hundreds of major corporations operating in the US were founded by Israelis. They generate billions of dollars in revenue, employ tens of thousands of Americans, and pay more in US taxes than the total military aid Israel receives. That is real money and real responsibility. Yet these organizations treat anti-Semitism as an inconvenient public relations problem, not as a complex phenomenon with deep historical and psychological roots. Their internal logic prioritizes access and influence over accuracy. Their language is corporate, emotionally flat, legalistic, and sanitized. Their structure prevents them from saying obvious truths such as, anti-Zionism is eliminationist, and some ideologies are fundamentally incompatible with Jewish safety. The result is terrible optics. Jews and non-Jews alike can sense the inauthenticity. These organizations fail to persuade, fail to protect, and sound hollow while doing it. They are not evil. They are not conspiring. They are doing exactly what they are designed to do: protect financial interests. The problem is not capitalism or Israeli success. The problem is pretending none of this exists, while speaking about anti-Semitism as if it were a moral misunderstanding. Imagine if, instead of the usual awkward performance, a representative stood up and said plainly, "This surge in anti-Semitism will cost us billions. Israel creates massive economic value we cannot afford to lose. Our investors are concerned because they profit from Israeli innovation. We support Israel because it is good for business, security, and technology." How refreshing would that be? Those are legitimate reasons, and they would sound far more convincing than vague appeals to values, moral posturing, or HR-style statements about hate. Instead of appearing apologetic and weak, they would sound like what they actually are: powerful capitalists defending prosperity. This leads to the larger problem. In the modern West, virtue signaling and appeasement have become dominant social currencies. Profit is treated as a dirty word. Every institution must claim a higher moral purpose. Corporations insist they exist only to save the world, even though everyone knows they exist to make money. You might ask, what harm does that cause? The answer is, quite a lot. Shame signals moral weakness. When people who clearly benefit from free markets and capitalism begin apologizing for profit, dressing it up in moral cosplay, they implicitly say, "You're right to be suspicious of us." The far left hears that message loud and clear, and it escalates. Profit is not immoral. Apologizing for it only confirms the accusation. This validates the far left moral framework: wealth equals theft, success equals exploitation, power equals illegitimacy. It also explains why the far left is reflexively anti-Western and anti-Israel. When capitalists refuse to say plainly, "Yes, we make money, and that's good," they surrender the moral ground. From that moment on, the debate is no longer about whether profit is acceptable, but about how much penance is required. And the answer is always more. This is the same cognitive dissonance people feel when Jewish organizations speak about anti-Semitism. Audiences are not stupid. They notice when someone is wealthy, lives comfortably, benefits from markets, yet talks about success as if it were shameful. That gap feels dishonest, even if people can't articulate why. Dishonesty erodes trust faster than disagreement ever could. Champagne socialists living in insulated elite bubbles never notice this, because everyone around them repeats the same slogans, avoids the same truths, and congratulates each other on the same virtue signals. No one ever says, "Hey, this makes us look weak and fake." Historically, the healthiest capitalist societies were unapologetic ones. They said openly, "Profit is legitimate. Innovation creates value. Wealth can be productive. Success is not a sin. Markets elevate societies." That confidence neutralized radicalism. It wasn't ideological, it was psychological. Capitalists who act ashamed do not look virtuous. They look guilty. Appeasement is not neutral. It is destructive. When economic elites lose confidence in their own legitimacy, states fail. Not gradually, suddenly. The pattern is well documented. Elites stop defending their moral right to wealth. They adopt apologetic language. And radicals interpret this as guilt. Compromise ends. Replacement becomes the goal. This is exactly what happened in Iran under the Shah, in Venezuela under Chavez, in Russia during the collapse of liberalism. Radicals do not need numbers at first. They need permission. Permission to judge, delegitimize, and ultimately eliminate. Appeasing left-leaning friends never stabilizes anything. It legitimizes the radical moral frame, demoralizes the productive class, and teaches extremists that escalation works. There is a reason democracies have a no negotiation with terrorists principle. The West seems to have forgotten it. Radicals do not want a seat at the table. They want the table flipped. Once the backbone cracks, collapse is rapid. Capital flees, competence exits, institutions hollow out, loyalty evaporates, and legitimacy shifts from performance to ideology. Venezuela did not collapse because of oil prices. It collapsed because its elites stopped believing they deserved to rule and to profit. This should sound familiar because Western democracies are flirting with the same mistake, treating profit as morally suspect, apologizing for markets, treating productive citizens as liabilities, outsourcing moral authority to activists, confusing appeasement with stability. This is not humility. It is institutionalized suicide. Profit is not evil. Investment is not immoral. Capital flow is not exploitation. Pretending otherwise feeds extremism. Nations collapse when truth is replaced by performance. They crumble when profit is treated as sin. They die when elites seek approval instead of legitimacy. This isn't ultimately about economics. It's about clarity. And clarity is what keeps civilizations alive.